The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's role-play session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea, and I'd like to start by welcoming our participants to our role-playing session here today, as we do every Thursday morning. We'll take as many of your questions as well as volunteers to do role-playing. Now, do remember this. We are going to focus exclusively today on the universal callback script. We're going to do role-playing. We're going to talk about handling objections. We're going to break down the universal callback script into sections so that you really understand it. And this is about practicing this one element of Craig's system. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about generating the lead in the first place. So remember that for those of you that are new and are just getting started in participating with these coaching sessions. Every Friday is our marketing session. So we're going to look at your ads. You can upload any ads that you're running. We will take a look at those ads. We will look at ad examples from the website. Tomorrow is about the best, most efficient ways to generate the prospect. Today is about what we do with that prospect once the lead is generated in terms of how we determine their timing and motivation over the phone using this universal script. Now, a lot of you have typed your questions into the chat, and a lot of you have also volunteered to do some role-playing using the universal callback script, which is great. I want all of you to bear this in mind, okay? If you're doing an awesome job of following up with your prospects, you'll likely speak to, at best, 75 to 80% of the leads that you generate. In other words, even doing the best, most diligent job with your leads, 20% of those prospects you'll probably never, ever speak to, regardless of how hard you try. You've got to be okay with that. Now, if, however, you're looking at this saying, yeah, geez, I only speak to 30% of the prospects that I generate, it means that you're not doing everything you could to reach your prospect. Remember this, okay? When the prospect gives their contact information, we're asking them to give a phone number, but we're also asking for additional information as well. For example, their address. So using their address, you can also find an additional phone number 8 out of 10 times, and you should be doing that. Remember this, if you have 2 phone numbers for one prospect, you've doubled your opportunity and likeliness of reaching that prospect. With 2 phone numbers, you double everything. So that's something that you might want to consider as well if you're not reaching, closer to 70, 80% of the leads that you're generating. All right, so that's really important. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about before we dove into your questions and the volunteers for role playing is I wanted to talk about reading the script versus winging it. A lot of you are really comfortable, in one-on-one situations in conversing. And that's wonderful. But I'll tell you what, winging it and saying the wrong thing is far worse than reading the script and sounding like you're reading. In the beginning, it may sound like you're reading. However, in short order, you're going to realize that what you're reading is the same thing over and over again, and you're going to memorize it. And then once you memorize it, all of a sudden the light bulbs are going to start going off, and you're going to start to understand, okay, I get why it says this, and all of a sudden, almost by magic, you reach this point where you've hit mastery level. And mastery level is the level that comes after memorization, where you've internalized the script so that you understand how it works the way that it does. So you are having a conversation with your prospect, but your conversation follows the script. It follows the spirit of the universal callback script so that you, number one, are perceived by the prospect as the provider of information, not as a telemarketer. I think this is really valuable. You should write this down. This is the goal. Number one, here's how you know you've reached mastery level. The prospect perceives you as the provider of information, not as a telemarketer. That happens in the introduction, all right? That's number one. Number two, you determine the timing and motivation of the prospect. The only way you can determine the timing and motivation of the prospect is to ask questions that would prompt the prospect to share their moving plans with you. Okay, so number one, we are perceived as the provider of information. If you just call someone and say, "Hi, it's James with Remax," you are not the provider of information. you are a telemarketer. You're someone bothering them, and all they want is to get off the phone with the pesky salesperson. So being perceived as the provider of information is critical. Number two, determining timing and motivation, not by scaring the prospect away with intrusive questions, but by asking conversational questions and really understanding that listening to the answer is a skill that will take time. In the beginning, you are not going to hear what the prospect is telling you because you're going to be so wrapped up in what you are going to say that you're not listening to what the prospect tells you. But again, as you become more experienced with this script, you're going to start to hear better and better from the prospect because you already know exactly what you're going to ask the prospect next. And then finally, and most critically, where you reach mastery level is when you realize that for every single prospect that you speak with, you're always going to make an offer to that prospect. In other words, there's always a next step for that prospect to take. It doesn't matter the timing of that prospect. It doesn't matter the level of motivation of that prospect. You're always, with every single prospect that you speak to, you're always going to recommend a course of action that is better or different than what they're currently doing right now. That doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to meet with you. Of course not. It may mean that you're going to offer to follow up with them and provide them additional information. It may mean that you're going to book an appointment with them. It may mean that you're never ever going to do business with them and you're going to wish them a good day. And, that's a course of action. Have a great day. Thank you very much. But we're always, with every prospect we speak to, we're always going to end the call with a recommended course of action. And again, these are the elements that will be absolutely natural once you've reached this mastery level. The introduction causes you to look like the provider of information, not a telemarketer. The questions that you ask are probing and not intrusive. And what they do is they determine very comfortably the prospect's timing and motivation. And number three, you're always going to recommend a course of action to every single prospect that you speak to without exception. Always going to recommend some form of action that prospect needs to take. Once you've hit all three, you've reached mastery level. Once it happens automatically and you really internalize it and you get it, you've reached mastery level. Now, the reason I'm sharing all of this with you is not just to get the juices flowing, but also to share with you that you will never be able to teach somebody how to do this until you have reached mastery level yourself. So there are some of you that might be eager to hire an inside salesperson to handle your leads and convert the leads into face-to-face appointments for you. And some of you that do this incorrectly are going to be very disappointed when you find out that if you are not able to demonstrate to your inside salesperson by sitting down and making 2 hours worth of calls with them on the other line, listening to you, and beginning through osmosis to understand this, you cannot expect them to be able to do this without you first having mastered it. So even if your intentions are to follow the natural progression of the system and ultimately generate more leads than you can handle, so that perhaps getting an inside salesperson to help you with the lead conversion, that is a given. That is going to happen. That may be your intention sooner rather than later. The fact of the matter is, you're going to find frustration in hiring a person to be good at it if you yourself aren't first. So that's why it's really valuable that you participate here and then you become really, really good at it. And then just as an aside to that, what many of you are going to find is this. Once you become really good with the universal callback script and your lead generation is on autopilot, what you're going to do is you're going to take a close examination of your business and you're going to determine that among the most dollar productive elements of your real estate business is converting leads to appointments. In other words, in the amount of time it takes you to go out and do an appointment, you could have booked 5 appointments. So what is more dollar productive, booking 5 appointments or going out on 1 appointment? And the answer, of course, is booking 5 appointments. So, and this is the position that Craig found himself in the last 10 years of his real estate business, certainly in the last 5 years, particularly, where everything was on autopilot, generating the lead, providing the information automatically that the prospect requested, the appointments, everything right through to closing was all completely automated by other people. And Craig's element in the system was simply taking the prospects, cherry picking the prospects that he was going to sit down and make a couple of hours of phone calls every day and convert the leads into face-to-face appointments that his outside sales agents would go on and get contracts signed and then follow those contracts through to closing. And so in other words, what you discover is, well, wait a minute, what is more dollar productive for me than booking the appointments? Your brain says, well, if I hire someone to book the appointments, then I can go out on the appointments. What Craig figured out is it's backwards. It's the other way around. I make more money sitting, in my office, booking appointments and having others go out and do the appointments and work with the clients, close the deals, split the commission 50-50 with me. I keep everybody much busier if I'm the one doing that part while the outside sales agents go out. So, but here's the point. It all starts with mastery of this universal script. So I hope that I've got the juices flowing a little bit here, and we've got lots and lots of volunteers. Andrea, our operator, will explain how we're going to get started here this morning. And Andrea, take it away.
Yes, sir. All you need to do to role play or ask a question is type in the chat box, "I would like to role play," or your question or comment. You can also raise your hand if you have a working mic or you're on the telephone. That yellow hand is at the top of your control panel. We have lots of hands raised. Our first one today will be John Brackett. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, John. Or not.
John?
Hello, can you hear me?
There you go.
Hey, John, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. You know what? I actually didn't raise my hand, but since I'm on the phone, I might as well try it.
Haha, there you go. Okay, good. Well, I guess we accidentally picked on you. Okay, so John, why don't we do this? Okay, I'm going to be a prospect that requested a list of properties on an ad that you ran. Where are you running ads right now? Where would I see a John Brackett offer for information? Where would I see an ad like that?
You know what? Right now, I'm just getting my Facebook campaign going, so I don't have any classified ads up yet.
Okay, so you're on Facebook. You're offering an online home evaluation?
That's the idea, right?
Okay, yes. Okay, so I'm someone that saw that ad. Now think about this, by the way, and this is really valuable for everybody. When you're calling back a prospect, you've got to think of, what did that prospect do for me to be calling them? All right. Number one, you know that if I responded to your Facebook ad, you know that I have to live in your marketplace. If I don't live in your marketplace, I never would have seen your ad in the first place. You know that I'm an adult because you have made sure that only those over a certain age see your ad. Maybe you've determined my income level. So before I even saw your ad, you already know that I fit the demographic of who you're looking for. I make more than $90,000 combined household income a year. I own my home. I live in your marketplace. You know all of this about me. Here's what you also know. When I clicked on the ad, I went to the website, I filled out all the information about my property, and I gave my contact information. Now, who would do such a thing? Somebody who has absolutely no interest whatsoever in making a move, or somebody who might have some motivation in making a move? See, there might be lots of people that want to know the value of their home, but when push comes to shove and they need to start giving information, that's when the buck stops. It is very likely only someone who's more serious and ready that then gives that information and gives up their anonymity, and that is exactly who you're calling back right now. So, the phone rings, ring. Hello, this is James. Who's this?
This is John Brackett.
Oh, to what do I owe the pleasure, John?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Let's start over again.
Okay, ring.
Sorry about
Hello.
that. Yeah, hi. Is James there?
This is James.
James, my name is John Brackett with Century 21 Award, and the reason why I'm calling is I received a request from you for some information, and I just want to let you know that I popped that in the mail, and I'll have that over to you most likely within a couple of days. Is that okay?
Oh, well, first of all, what information was that now?
This was for the this was for some information that you requested online via home evaluation, and just want to let you know that I got that out to you.
Okay, yeah, no, I was expecting to get something right away, actually.
Okay.
I didn't expect a real estate agent to call me either.
Oh, not a problem. Well, I am calling you, and just wanted to ask, are you going to be moving within the next 3 to 6 months?
It's up in the air, maybe.
Okay. And what is the reason for that?
What is the reason for that? Well, I don't know. There may not be a reason. We're just thinking about it. That's all.
Okay.
Remember, reading the script is better than winging it.
So now, when I read if I just go line by line, I guess in my mind it doesn't sound natural yet. But
and this is why I said this when we started off the call. I know that, but listen, reading it and sounding mechanical is better than winging it and saying things that are going to make me feel like you're intruding on my privacy or make me feel uncomfortable. Like, what is the reason for that? Well, the reason for what? I said no. I said I'm not really sure.
Okay,
what is the reason you're not really sure? I don't know. I'm an idiot? What? I don't know. I'm
so
just not
then
sure.
do I go right into, well, do you currently rent or own your own home?
Okay, so no. So watch. First of all, you're on the seller side of the script. Okay, so the seller side of the script, I responded to a seller offer. Right? Find out what your home is worth online. It says, if you were to make a move, remember, it's written as a hypothetical question, right? Because I can't get angry at a hypothetical question. You're not saying, well, when you do make your move, because I said I might not. You can't then turn around and accuse me of saying, yeah, well, when you are, because now I'd think you're crazy. So the way Craig wrote it was it's hypothetical. Well, John, if you were to make a move, would you be staying local or would you be moving out of the area? It's a if you were, because I didn't say I was. So now you can't turn around and say, so you look at the way the questions are worded, it makes perfect sense. So you said to me, you're thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months. I said, it's up in the air. We're thinking about it, but we don't know.
Okay, now when you're using the online home evaluation ad, say through Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, and they do log in, they get their information. I follow up with them, and I'm saying, hey, I popped this in the mail to you. I'm popping it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, don't say that. Say I've prepared that information and you should receive it shortly. Or I sent you that information. I hope that's okay. You've either sent it or you're preparing it. It's one of the two. So watch this. Hey, John, I got your request for the over-the-net home evaluation in the area home sales report, and I'm preparing that information right now. I hope that's okay.
Okay.
Hey, John, I got your request for the over-the-net home evaluation, the area home sales report, and I just wanted to let you know I've sent that out to you. I hope that's okay. It's one of the two. You don't have to say how. Just, I've sent it out to you. And I wouldn't mail it. Why would you do that when you can email it? As a matter of fact, it could be set up through your IDX to be automated so that it would be immediately sent to them. You could set it up that way. But the bottom line is this. All I want you to know is that you requested information from me. I'm letting you know that I did get that. I did prepare the information. And as a courtesy call, I'm letting you know it's either on its way or it has been sent. I hope it's okay that I let you know that. And you know what the prospect will say? If you've done a good job of explaining all of that to them, they will say thank you.
Okay. Now, do I use the same script, meaning preparing information for you with the buyers as well?
Well, with anybody that requests information, I would ask you, John, have you sent the information or have you not sent the information yet? It's a yes or no. If you say, yes, I did, then you're going to say, I just want to let you know I've sent the information. I hope that's okay. If I said, John, did you send the information? And you say no, then you're going to say this. Hi, I just want to let you know I'm preparing the information. I hope that's okay. You're either preparing it or you sent it. It's one of the two. It has to be. There is no in between.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
So that's what you're going to write down in your script. I've sent the information. I hope that's okay. I've prepared the information. I hope that's okay. It's one of the two. Then we can move on. The prospect will say great. The prospect will say thank you. The prospect will say but they will react in some sort of way of appreciation. Then you're going to say, by the way, you're thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months. I say, it's up in the air. I don't know. I'm not sure. Then you are able to say, well, if you were to make a move, would you be staying here locally or might you be moving out of the area? It's a hypothetical question. Yeah. It's a hypothetical question designed to get me to talk. See, your question accomplished the same thing, but it's just a more intrusive way of saying it. So when I said, no, it's up in the air, I'm just thinking about it, you said, well, like, what are you thinking? Like, what's your, and it's, see how awkward, what's the reason?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know,
absolutely.
What are you, my probation officer? Like, I don't know. It's very intrusive, right? So what Craig figured out is you've got to make it conversational so you don't scare away the prospect. And that's where the hypothetical, well, if you were to make a move, when do you think that might be? If you were to make a move, would you be staying here local or might you be moving out of the area? If you were to make a move, would you prefer to put your present home on the market before you find your next home? The questions are always posed in a hypothetical way so as not to scare the prospect off.
Sure. No, I get that now. I see that.
Okay, so let's say, John, I say this to you. Yes, we're planning on getting our home on the market. We're thinking about interviewing some agents, but we don't have anybody in mind. And we've already bought firm. We're moving, and we really need to get our home on the market, in the next week or so. So I've said all that to you. Now what are you going to
do? That.
Yep.
You are going to move. You are going to put your home on the market. Okay. When would be a good time? Then when would be a good time for you and I to get together? To speak further about this.
Well, I'm available right now on the phone. Okay. Go to the seller side. Okay. Go to the seller side on the right and go to the bottom. Would you like, at the very bottom, it says sell first CMA offer.
Would you like a free market evaluation to determine what your home would sell for?
Keep going.
And also, can I give you tips on what to do and what not to do to sell your home for the most amount of money? And can we go over the various closing costs you will incur so you know exactly what will be left over in your pocket after all expenses? It's free of charge, and it's free of charge and obligates you to absolutely nothing. Does that sound helpful?
Sure, it does.
Okay, so I have to make the offer.
Right. So here's great words. Okay, here's great words of wisdom from Craig. This is what he says. You always put the benefit before the commitment. In other words, if you say, "Can we get together?" and I'm thinking, "Why?" In other words, why? What benefit is there to me? So here's how you do it. You always start with the benefit first. John, would you like a free market evaluation of your property so I can more accurately determine the likely selling price of your property? But more importantly to you, John, what I can also do is point out helpful tips, things to do and not do to further increase the value of your home. Also, we can go over a net sheet so you'll know exactly what you'll have left in your pocket once all the various closing costs are incurred. It's free, obligates you to absolutely nothing, and I'm flexible. What would be good for you, John? Days, evenings, or weekends?
Got it.
All in one. So here's how you're going to learn this. I want you to write it down in bullet points, right? Make that offer in bullet points. Bullet point number 1, accurate evaluation. Would you like accurate evaluation to determine the value of your home? Number 2, helpful tips to further increase the value of your home. Number 3, net sheet to determine closing costs. And then bullet point number 4, I'm flexible, no cost, no obligation, days or evenings or weekends, wherever you're available to do it. Those are your 4 bullet points. That is the seller offer in bullet points, and you're going to master that so it just comes out of your mouth in one fell swoop absolutely naturally. You're going to make the benefit to the seller. See, here's what the seller's thinking. Why would I want to meet with you, John? What's the reason? And all you're doing is you're bullet pointing all those reasons. The difference is you're going to give me the reasons first, then you're going to say, you know, to get these benefits, I need to meet with you. When would be a good time? But the prospect's far more likely to agree once they understand the benefit of the appointment. And the truth is the appointment is free. There's no cost to the appointment, nor is there any obligation attached to the appointment. You're going to do everything that you say you're going to do, and it is absolutely free to them, and it obligates them to nothing. But it would be extremely helpful because all of those things that you say you're going to do, you really are going to do. Okay, so hey, John, you are right where all of the other brand new coaching participants are, and I'm telling you this right now because I've been doing this for a long, long time. A couple of weeks from now, you and I are going to do a role play on a Thursday, and you're going to be blown away when you listen back to this role play that we did today and the progress 2 weeks from now. You're going to be blown away that you're the same human being. That this is how it works. You'll see. And you're going to look back and say, oh, my God, I get this so much better now. But this is the natural learning curve with this universal script. But you're going to see it just like many, many others who have come before you have. You just got to kind of
I get it.
Get a little clarity in your mind. And
I think the biggest thing is to remember you're always making an offer, right? As you go through the script and you're handling the objections, you're putting the benefit before the commitment, but that's the offer, correct?
Absolutely.
Each phase
but here's what you got to remember. Before you can make an offer, you need to understand the prospect's situation.
Sure.
Right? You got to understand that. That's why you have to ask the questions first. We are going to ask some non-intrusive questions to get an idea as to what are your plans? What are your moving plans? And only upon learning what their motivation is can we then make an offer. So we're not making an offer throughout because we don't know what offer to make. How can you know? You haven't asked any questions. We don't know anything about what they're doing. You can't offer to see their home when then they turn around and say, well, we're renting. Well, what would the point of that be? So we have to ask questions first, get the answers. With those answers, we formulate what would be the best offer to make this prospect based on the answers to my probing questions. Then we make an offer.
Got it.
So that's how you want to compartmentalize this script. But
okay,
but you're definitely on the right track, and I appreciate you quasi-volunteering today.
Well, next Thursday I'll be ready.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next guest is Cassie Alongi. Your line is now open.
Hi, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Cassie. How are you today?
Fabulous. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent.
I kind of have some questions, and I was thinking more along the lines that I'd like to role play with you, but you be me.
Okay. All right.
Because,
I get what you mean.
I'm sorry?
Okay. So first of all, I get it. No problem. So first of all, what are your questions?
Okay. And well, I'm having trouble converting leads. Like one, it's really easy to get me off the phone, so I want to work on that.
All right.
And also, bold leads and the Z buyer, I'm having trouble with my opening sentence. And then, like for example, I had one person I had called at work, and she said, "Oh, I'm swamped. I just got back from work, and got back after a week, and just send me an email." And I said, well, "Okay, well, what's a better number?" I tried to go that route, and she was like, "No, I've got something to do tonight. It's just better. Email me, and I'll call you back." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." And then my other one, I caught an out-of-state buyer that was at dinner. And so I had gotten through a couple of the questions with her, but the end result was, "I'll call you back." And so,
you know what? Here's what you're probably going to find, okay, is that what you're explaining here is the exception versus the rule. And let me explain what I mean by that. Most people, when they're sitting down eating dinner, aren't going to take your call in the first place. So the person that does it's going to be the rarity that happens. But it will happen. That's absolutely a fact. It will happen. All you can do is this. If somebody absolutely cannot talk to you at that moment, then you're going to call them back. That's all. Imagine this. Pretend it went to their voicemail. What would you do? You'd try them again. You'd try them again later, call them back at a different time. That's exactly what you're going to do in these instances where you can't talk. But I got to tell you this. if this happens over and over and over again, if this is a systemic problem where prospects are always rushing you off the phone, I'll tell you right now why that's happening. Your introduction is making you sound like a telemarketer. And I don't care what time of day a telemarketer calls you, you will always bum rush them off the phone. Isn't that right? I'm in the middle of something. Yes, that's what we say to telemarketers. Even though I'm doing nothing, sitting around doing absolutely nothing, if a telemarketer calls me, I'm getting them off the phone. I'm going to tell them, I'm really busy right now. I'm in the middle of something. Talk to you later. Call me back. Bye. That's what we say to telemarketers. So it is our job to make sure the prospect knows we are not a telemarketer. We've got to be slow and very firm as to who we are and why we're calling them. So I say, oh, hi, Cassie. This is James McDonald calling. I'm with Craig Proctor's office at RE/MAX. Cassie, the reason I'm calling you is I received your request for a free list of properties on my website, and I wanted to give you a quick courtesy call and let you know I'm preparing those properties right now, and you should receive them shortly. Question that I am calling you because you requested information from me. I am making it very, very clear I am not some realtor who's telemarketing you. Because if you think that I'm some realtor telemarketing you, you're going to say, I'm busy having dinner, even though it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to make up some excuse, and you're going to get rid of me, because that's what we do to telemarketers. So I want you to pay special attention to how slow and clear you are when you're making your introduction. Cassie, it's James calling with Craig Proctor's office at RE/MAX. Cassie, the reason I'm calling, you were on my website earlier on today looking for information about homes for sale with in-ground swimming pools. And I just wanted to give you a quick courtesy call and let you know I did prepare some properties for you that you should be receiving shortly. And I hope that's okay. Do you know what Cassie will say? Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So make sure that you're really, really doing that. And what you're going to find is this will be the exception. Now, I'm not saying that it still won't happen. I'm saying it will be the exception, not the rule. That makes sense?
Oh, yeah, I think actually that's probably what the problem is, because the first call I had, like I said, it's on ZBuyer. I'm a little confused what they're looking at. They're looking at properties.
They don't care. They don't care that it's ZBuyer. I'm telling you, do not reference that. They do not know. All they care about is the property. The bottom line is this: you were looking for properties for sale on my website. That's all. They'll say, oh, okay, I remember that. They don't know that it's called ZBuyer. That means nothing to them, right? Were they also looking at properties on Trulia? Were they looking at properties on Zillow? Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. They were online and they were looking for properties for sale. You're calling them saying, you were on my website, you were looking for properties for sale, and I wanted to let you know that I prepared properties for sale that perfectly match what you're looking for, that you requested, and you should receive it shortly, or I've sent those and you should have received them by now. I hope that's okay. Prospect will say thank you.
Yeah,
but got to be really, really clear with that. Okay, so let's continue with the rest of the script. So then I say to you, Cassie, by the way, you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, I was looking for a second home, a winter home.
Okay, and if you were to buy that home, would you be purchasing that property in the area here, or are there other areas that you would consider as well?
Well, that's why I was telling you I didn't want to have access to that site anymore. There's just too much to look at, kind of confusing and things, so I'm not really sure yet.
Absolutely. Okay. And you own the home that you currently live in now?
Right. Well, we live in Nebraska, so this is the house. I mean, we're going to keep this house.
I gotcha. Okay, so you're looking at it as a second property. And do you have a real estate agent to help you when the time is right to make the purchase here?
No, I'm just really in the beginning stages, just kind of looking, I was trying to look, like I said, it's a little overwhelming everywhere, all the different places to look for.
Right. And do you have plans to come here to look at properties for sale, or I mean, do you have a schedule to actually come to the area? I take it you're not in Nebraska. I mean,
Yeah.
where you are, you said these people are in Nebraska, they own a home there, but they're coming to buy a second home in your marketplace. Where's your marketplace?
In the desert area, like Palm Springs area.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So, but they don't live in Palm Springs. Right,
No,
so me booking an appointment with them tomorrow evening ain't going to happen because they're in Nebraska. That's what you're telling me, right?
Right.
Okay, so watch this. All I say is this. Are you planning a trip to Palm Desert to come and look at properties in the future?
Well, yeah, because we're not going to just buy something we haven't seen.
And when are you planning on coming and doing that? When might that be?
Well, we'll probably come towards the end of summer. It's just way too hot in the desert to go looking at properties. Probably, towards the end, September, October.
Okay. Okay. Well, what I can do is I can send you a snapshot of some properties that are on the market that maybe more specifically match what you'd be looking for, just to keep you in touch with what's happening in the marketplace. But let me ask you this, Cassie. If the perfect property came available now, how serious would you be now about purchasing that property if it were the perfect property for you?
I think that's a good question. I think pretty serious. I think we'd probably try and make a trip to come out there and see it.
Right. Okay. So as far as the end of summer, that's kind of what you're arbitrarily thinking. But if the perfect property were to come up, that could change.
Right.
Okay. Why don't I do this? I'm going to send you, as I said, I'll send you a snapshot of some great properties that I think might really match what you're looking for. And what I'll also do, if you'd like, is I've got a newsletter that I put together every month that's full of great market information about the desert area here. It'll keep you in touch with what's happening in the marketplace, things like that. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation. Would you like me to go ahead and send you that information as well on a regular basis?
Sure.
And Cassie, I don't want to follow up with you prematurely, but would it be okay if I followed up with you, a little down the road when you might be a little closer to coming out here or to looking, more seriously in earnest at properties? Would it be okay if I followed up with you?
Sure.
When would be a good time for me to do that? When would you like me to call you and follow up?
Probably like midsummer would probably be good, like July maybe.
Perfect. Okay, I will do that, and in the meantime, I'll send you those properties, and I'll put you on my newsletter, and you'll get that information. My number and contact details are all over it. Don't hesitate if you have any questions whatsoever, and I'll look forward to speaking with you in the summertime.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now, watch this. So here's what we do now. So I'm going to send you exactly what I told you I would send you, but I'm not going to wait until July to call you back. I'm going to bring that back a little bit, and I'm probably going to give you a call first week of June. And here's why. The key question that I wanted to know is this. Number one, do you have a realtor here? And the answer is no. But I do know that you're looking. So I know that it isn't unlikely that you might see a property and call that property and call the listing agent on that property. You might develop a relationship with another agent. So I need to realize that that's not impossible that were to happen. So I'm kind of hedging a little bit, and I want to call you a little bit sooner than midsummer. I also asked you, if the perfect property came available, might you be in a position where you would do something? And you said yes to that. Well, I know that the likeliness of you finding the perfect property are far greater in May than it is in September or August. Right? I know that the likeliness is that the inventory that might be available now is likely going to be better than in August. So if that's going to happen, it could happen now. And so I'm kind of hedging a little bit. So I'm not going to wait until end of July only to find out, oh, you already found something and you bought it. That would devastate me. Okay, so we're going to take that time frame and we're going to bring it back a little bit. Now, when you follow up with the prospect, again, you want to go through the same thing. What timing and motivation? Are they still motivated? What does their timing look like? And eventually you're going to get to the point where if they're serious about buying a property in Palm Springs, they have to have a trip there. It's exactly what you said. Nobody's going to buy a home without coming there and looking at them first. So what you're trying to figure out is, when are you planning this trip? Because the very first person who's going to meet with them on their trip is you. They're going to come to your office. We're going to set up some showings to look at some properties. We're going to use our time really wisely here. We're going to make sure that we look at some properties that perfectly match what you're looking for. And we'll set this up at my office, and you're going to book the appointment with them. But first, they have to have the trip planned to come to your marketplace. But this is not hard. And the one really good thing is when it comes to out-of-area buyers, because they don't know the area, they really need you. So it's a natural that meeting with you is, there's no pushback on meeting with you. They need you. And there is no cost. There is no, they're not obligated. They don't have to do anything. So it's an easy appointment to book. So I hope that helps, Cassie.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, who's next, Andrea?
Well, James, I thought we'd move on to one of our questions since we have a few.
Sure, yeah, let's do that. Let's take a whole bunch of questions, and I'll try to be quicker in answering each one of them.
Okay, this is from Carla. I have a lot of cancellations. I'm using the script, and the prospect sounds very interested and excited about the meeting, but often they no-show. I'm setting appointments within 1 to 2 days of the call and calling and confirming them as well.
Okay, well, you hit on a couple of really good points there. If the prospect isn't showing up, I'll tell you, most of the time that's because the appointment is too far away. But you've already addressed that, and you're telling me that you're booking the appointments within a day or two of speaking to them. Usually that alone negates the no-shows. However, in your case, it isn't. So here's what I'm fearful of. If the prospect either fears cost or obligation, or they don't really understand the benefit of the appointment, it is likely that they won't show up. In other words, I'm ready, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm about to go meet with you, and I stop and I think to myself, wait a minute, why am I meeting with a realtor again? Like, they're going to charge me money, of course. They're going to obligate me in some way. This is really uncomfortable. You know what? I'm just not going to go. You've got to make sure that they understand. The benefit of the appointment is when we sit down, we're going to figure out exactly what it is you're looking for so that I only send you the perfect properties. And please bear in mind, I do not want you to bring your wallet or checkbook into the office. There's no cost to this. It's free. You're never, ever obligated to buy anything at all, but I want to do a good job in only sending you the right properties. So here's your homework assignment. Between now and tomorrow evening's appointment, I want you to sit down and consider all of the elements in a property that are really, really important to you, so that I have as good an understanding as you do as to what you're looking for. We'll see you tomorrow night. Okay. That's the conversation. That's the impression that the prospect needs to have. Because right now, here's what they're thinking. It's tomorrow, and they're thinking, oh boy, I've got that appointment. Am I crazy? I'm not meeting with a real estate salesperson. They're gonna obligate. Like, why am I meeting with them? The only reason they want me to meet with them is because they want my money. And I'm not ready for that yet. We're just looking. If that's what they're thinking, they ain't going to show up. So that's what you want to address. Next question, Andrea.
Our next question from Ernest. How do you handle a hotline follow-up when they ask for report number 2?
You've handled it exactly the same way as report number 1. Exactly the same. There is no difference. You requested information about what? What did they request? A free special report? Whatever it was. Be specific. You know, it's James with RE/MAX. I'm calling you because you had requested information in regards to a free report on home seller mistakes. I just wanted to let you know that I did prepare and send that information out to you, and you should receive it shortly. I hope that's okay. It's the same script. All we're doing is, because they requested report number 2, we have an idea that they're down the road. So that's okay. We're still going to ask all the probing questions. We're still going to make them an offer. But we're going to let the answers to the questions dictate the offer we make, not the fact that they requested report number 2. Okay? Remember this. Okay, this is really important. Let's say I'm a seller, and I respond to a seller offer. And it says, do you think you'd be selling your home within 6 months or greater than 6 months? And I say, well, I'm thinking to myself, geez, I haven't even found my next home yet. So, I don't see myself, actually selling my home for 6 months. Because right now, we're just looking for our next home. So I indicate I'd like report number 2, because it's true. I probably won't be selling my home within 6 months. That's because first I want to find what I'm going to buy. And that I'm doing now. So here's my question to you. Am I a now prospect or a future prospect? Well, I may be a future seller, but I'm a now buyer, right? So what I indicated was greater than 6 months. But in following up with me and in having a conversation with me, you determine that, yeah, I may be a down the road seller, but I'm a right now looking for buyer. So only asking the questions would you discover that. Next question, Andrea.
Our next question from Julia. She says, could you ask, I'll put it in the mail, or would you like me to email the information to you, versus I've popped it in the mail?
You don't want to mail. Honestly, like, just send it to them. I don't think you, if you're to the point where, and you will be if you're not there yet, where you're generating 3, 4, 5, 10 leads a day, you do not want to be licking stamps and it's not necessary. Hey, if you told me, yeah, you know, it's no problem, I've got a staff here, I've got all kinds of help, all right, well, I guess you could send it out that way. But honestly, the prospect requested the majority of the information that you're offering online. So you can email it to them. It's still going to come from you, but remember this, nothing you send the prospect is going to convert them anyway. Right? Whether it's emailed to them or it's mailed to them or you tie it to a pigeon, the information that you send the prospect is never, ever going to convert the prospect. It is only your phone call that is going to convert the prospect into an appointment. So how you send the information should be the most convenient way for you. What is the most convenient way for Julia to send the information to the prospect? That's how you should send it. And you should use the words, I've sent the information. I'm preparing to send the information. You don't have to say, and this is how I will be doing it. It will be coming from my account that is called. No, they don't care. It's simple. You requested information regarding this. I've prepared that information and I'm sending it to you. I've prepared that information and I've sent it to you. I hope that's okay. That's it. Keep it simple. Next question.
Our next question from Stephen. Would you want to pre-approve the buyer before you send properties and the newsletter?
Absolutely not. No. However, before you book an appointment to meet with them, what you want to do is this. If you feel like this prospect might be a little bit shaky, then you might want to ask them some questions after you book the appointment about their pre-qualification. But I want you to consider, if they own a home, would you be able to take the chance and meet with them without asking them intrusive questions about their finances? Would you be willing to take that chance? I don't know. I don't know what, if you told me, well, yeah, I mean, there's a 1 out of 20 chance. Okay, so are you willing to meet with them? Or remember this, the benefit of your representation is that you're going to help them get financing, isn't it? So if you say, well, have you gotten financing? And they say no, and you say, okay, we'll do that first, then I'll meet with you. Well, isn't one of the benefits of meeting with you that you can help them procure great financing? So if they've already done it, well, that's great. But if they haven't done it, that's great too. You know, why don't we do this? If you're generating first-time buyers and they're looking at a lower-end price point, and your experience has been, you know, a lot of these first-time buyers aren't qualifying. Well, then you can start, you know, once you book the appointment, then you can ask them some questions, you know, like you could say this. Hey, by the way, just so that I can better prepare for our appointment tomorrow evening, how did you arrive at the price range you're looking at? Have you been pre-qualified for a home loan? Yes, we have. Great. We'll see you tomorrow night. How did you arrive at your at the price range you're looking for? Have you been pre-qualified for a home loan? No, we haven't. Oh, okay. Do you know what your credit history looks like? I mean, do you have a good credit score? Are you aware of that? No, not really. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few dings on my credit, but I'm not really sure. I don't know how good it is. Do you have a cash down payment available for your home purchase? No. No, we don't. Okay, if they're doing nothing but sending up red flags, you can undo the appointment. Watch this. Hey, you know what? The purpose of our meeting tomorrow night is so that we can pinpoint the properties that you should be looking for based on area and price. The problem is we don't know what price you should be looking in because you haven't been pre-qualified yet. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to postpone our appointment tomorrow night. And first, I'm going to get my mortgage affiliate to give you a call and ask you some questions over the phone so that we can accurately determine, based on your credit history, your income, your down payment, all of those things, we can figure out how much home you can afford. Then we can do a better job of looking. It's free. There's no obligation. Would it be okay if I had them give you a call? But you're only going to do that if it sounds like they're in trouble and you're not going to be able to procure them financing. If they say to you, yep, you know what, we've got $50,000 cash down payment available. We make a combined household income of $110,000. You're not canceling the appointment. You're going to meet with them and you're going to get them signed to a buyer contract. Then you're going to get them in touch with your lender after you've procured them as a client. Next question, Andrea.
Our next question is, how do we increase our contact percentage? My contact percentage is far too low.
Okay, so first of all, the number one thing you can do is call them back quickly. The sooner you call them back, the more likely it is they answer the phone. When you call them back from your cell phone. You've got to call them back so on their caller ID, it's a local phone number, and preferably with a name. In other words, it's got to look like a personal call, not a sales call. If it looks like Remax is calling or it's a block number or a private, just let it go to voicemail. If it's important, they'll leave a message. And if it's not, well, then, I'll assume that there's a reason. So that's a big one. The other one is this. You need to be diligent. Sometimes it takes calling a prospect back 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they answer the phone. That happens. How about this? If they leave an address, highlight the address, copy and paste it into Google or into one of the online directories, whitepages.com. There are a few others. Look up the address for a phone number. And you know what you'll find very often? With an address, you can get a phone number. And the phone number is the home number, not the cell phone number that the prospect gave you. You can try that as well. If you keep calling them in the morning and you don't get them, why don't you try them in the afternoon or in the evening? Having said all of that, you might get a hold of 75, 80%, maybe. That's excellent. But if you told me, look, I'm getting a hold of 65, 70%, like, yeah, well, you're right in there. Like that's going to happen. That's pretty much what you can expect. You could do a little bit better, but you're never going to reach everybody. Not going to happen. And that's okay. That's why it's important that every day we generate a trickle of prospects, because do the math. If you generate 2 or 3 prospects every single day, that's 1,000 a year. If you only ever reach 700 of the 1,000, and out of those 700, you do business with 50 or 100 of them, it's still only a fraction of the total number. So we don't need everybody. And I'll tell you what, the prospects that answer the phone are, in a lot of ways, they're doing it because they're the best ones. So next question, Andrea.
Our next question comes from Erica. Do you have a buyer interest form that we could send the prospects for them to mark things like how many bedrooms, bathrooms? She thinks this way they are more likely to show up to the appointment. What are your thoughts?
No, that's what they're going to do at the appointment. Here's how you want to say it. You want to say, just to better prepare for our appointment, why don't you consider all of the things that are really important to you and your spouse in the property that you're looking for. Just consider all of those different things. That way, when we're going through all the different criteria, we can do a really, really good, accurate job for you in making sure we're only sending you the right properties. So take some time and consider that. And also consider what isn't important to you. And then we'll be able to sit down and do a great job for you. Remember, it's free. There's no obligation. We'll see you tomorrow evening. But you don't want to do it over the phone. Otherwise, what you're saying is, we can do the appointment over the phone. And you can't do the appointment over the phone because they cannot sign a buyer agency agreement over the phone. So you don't want to send them that. All you want to tell them is, why don't you consider some of these things? Because when you come in, I have a form that I'm going to fill out, and this will help. Next question.
Okay, we have one final question, and that pretty much covers them for the time being. It is for out of town, or for the out of buyer scenario. I did not hear what price range the buyer can be qualified for. So do we find out the criteria first?
Okay, so they didn't give could read that one more time. That was a little confusing.
Of course. It says, for the out of area buyer scenario, I did not hear what price range the buyer can be qualified for. So do we find out the criteria first?
If they're out of the area, and they're looking for properties, I think the very first thing you want to do is determine their timing and motivation first. Okay, so I could call them back and say, hey, you were on my website, you were looking at some properties. Just wanted to call as a courtesy, let you know that all the information is there for you that you want to see. By the way, are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? Now, here's the thing, is if the prospect gave their contact information enough for you to be calling, then they also would have given other information as well. Whatever that other information is, it may not have been really specific, but they must have, they had to have included something for them to leave their contact information. The bottom line is, we're going to, not going to dwell on that. First, we're going to find out their timing and motivation. What you don't want to is get into a big, long, drawn-out conversation on what they're looking for. Then ask them, do you have an agent to help you? Yes. So why did I just spend 20 minutes going over your criteria and talking to you about what you're looking for, only to then discover that you've got an agent to help you? You've already got an agent there. Well, great. I wish I'd known that first. So that's why we do it in this order. First, ask them the probing questions. All right. Find out their time and motivation. When are you planning on coming to the area? Do you have a realtor here to help you when the time is right? Go through all of those questions. How good are they? If they're good and you want to offer them a snapshot, then you can say, hey, what price range are you looking in? What areas are you most interested in? Do you even know? If they say, no, we don't really even know what areas, okay, well, I'll send you a snapshot. And when would be a good time for me to follow up with you? When you might be a little closer to buying something or even coming here to look at properties. Take that time, cut it in half, and call them back then. And then, again, readdress what they're looking for if they've narrowed it down. But that's the best way to do it. Don't ask them first what they're looking for before you know their timing and motivation, because you'll be at 20 minutes on the phone only to discover that maybe there's really no motivation there. Next question, Andrea.
Okay, our next question. It says, many times buyers are not ready to disclose the financial information. In that case, how should I convince them to get that information?
You don't need to. You don't need that. It's unnecessary for you to do that. Okay? You can ask some financial questions if you feel like a prospect is kind of shaky. Like you feel like, geez, they're renting and they're looking in a lower price range. I'm thinking that they're probably not going to qualify. So I'm going to book the appointment, and then I'm going to say, hey, by the way, just so I can better prepare for our appointment, have you been pre-qualified? Yes. Great. We'll see you tomorrow night. What more do you need to know? They said yes. They've been pre-qualified. So you're good. So meet with them. That doesn't mean that you might not be able to get them better terms and conditions and rates on their financing, but they said yes, they have. So good. See you tomorrow night. If they say no, we haven't, then you could say, well, do you have a cash down payment available? There are other questions that we can ask them. You don't need to say, how much is it, yes or no? Do you have a cash down payment available for your property? They'll probably say yes, this much. But what if they say no, we don't? I mean, what you're helping yourself. What you're doing is you're figuring out, okay, listen, this doesn't sound very good. This is somebody that is probably not going to qualify. I can tell. How long have you been at your job? Well, I just started. So you don't have a cash down payment, you haven't been pre-qualified, and you just started your job. I'm thinking that meeting with you tomorrow night is going to be premature. Now, you're not saying all that, but that's what your brain is telling you. So here's what you do. You say, look, the purpose of our appointment tomorrow night is to sit down and send you properties that match what you're looking for. Problem is, we don't know what you're looking for because we don't know how much home you can afford. So I'm going to postpone our appointment tomorrow night, and I'm going to have my lender call you. It's free, there's no obligation, but over the phone, they can ask you some questions that'll help us figure out what price we should be looking in for you. Does that sound fair? Are you okay with that? Yes, no, maybe, doesn't really matter. All we're doing is we're politely getting rid of the appointment that we've determined we cannot help them. But you don't have to do that with everyone. If somebody says, yeah, I mean, we own our home that we'll be selling. We've lived here for 35 years. Like, are you really going to ask them questions about their finances? Like, you don't need to, because you know in your experience that 99 out of 100 times in that instance, there is no issue with financing. There is nothing. You're not looking for reasons to get rid of the pesky customers. So you've got to weigh when you're going to ask these questions. If somebody responds to a free list of upscale executive homes starting from $850,000 to $5.2 million, you don't need to ask qualifying questions. Just book the appointment. Book the appointment. And you know what? Once in a blue moon, someone looking in that price range might not qualify. But overwhelmingly, the majority of time, the reason they're looking at that price range is because they can afford it. So you've got to base it on the rule, not the exception to the rule. Next question, Andrea.
Well, I believe we covered this, but you might want to readdress, because we've gotten it a few times. How do we increase the amount of clients showing up to an office appointment and not canceling? It looks like a lot of our members are getting cancellations.
Number one rule is book the appointment as close to now as possible. Number two rule is you have to make absolute sure that they understand the benefit of the appointment. Why are they meeting with you? If I were to point blank ask you right now, hey, wait a minute, why am I meeting with you again? If you cannot answer that question succinctly with absolute benefit to me, I'm not showing up, because there's no benefit to me to show up. All I'm thinking is you're going to charge me money or obligate me. So you're damn right I'm not going to show up. If I had to book the appointment to get you off the phone, whatever. I'll do what it takes to get you off the phone. But I ain't showing up. If you cannot explain to me the benefit of this appointment, then you sure couldn't explain it to the prospect. So that's what you need to work on. Those are the two things. Logistically, book the appointment as close to now. If they say, well, I'm available in the evenings, how's this evening? What would you prefer, early evening around 5:36 or later in the evening after 8 o'clock? If you book the appointment this evening, I'll tell you right now, that appointment is very likely going to happen. If you book it a week today, it ain't going to happen. So closer to now is better, but you still have to make sure the prospect understands the benefit of your appointment. Next question.
Well, I believe we covered all of our questions that we have in the queue, and the rest are just role play requests. Would you like to go ahead and take it?
All right, yeah, let's do a couple more role plays before we wrap it up. And also, before we wrap it up, I also want to remind everybody that tomorrow is our marketing session. So if you want us to look at your ads, you've started running some ads, let's take a look at them, upload them to the Ad Clinic file. It's easy. You can email them to me if you want, or to Andrea. Whatever's easier for you, but we'll take a look at whatever ads are submitted, and the more ads that are submitted, the better. And we'll share with you what you might want to change, what's good, what isn't, and get them working on autopilot so we can focus on lead conversion, and lead generation is not something that we need to dwell on because it's automated. All right, let's do a role play, Andrea.
Okay, our next guest for role play is Jim Daltroy. Your computer mic is now open.
Hi, it's Jim Daltroy.
Hi, Jim. How are you today?
Good. You want to? I just introduced myself. I'm going to do the role play. So I'm calling you about your response to a Google pay-per-click on a list of foreclosures.
Perfect.
Hi, is James McDonald there, please?
Yeah, this is James.
Oh, hi, James. It's Jim Daltroy calling you from Remax Hallmark. And the reason for my call is I got your request for a list of foreclosures and distress sales, and I just wanted to let you know I'm working on it now. You're going to have it within the next 2 to 3 hours. Is that okay?
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Jim.
Not a problem. And I'm just wondering, James, are you planning a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
I don't know about that. We're looking, but I couldn't tell you for sure when.
Okay, I get it. James, if you were to move, would you stay local or would you move out of the area?
Well, we're definitely staying local. We're just, we're looking at different price points and different neighborhoods and stuff like that, just to get a feel for, what's available. But no, we're definitely going to stay local. My wife and I are, we work here in the area, so.
Okay, and when would you plan on doing that?
Well, we're looking around, so it may be 3, 4, 6 months from now. We're just getting our ducks in a row, and we're renting right now, and we've still got a couple months on our lease, and then we're going to go month to month from there. So we're pretty flexible as far as that goes, and so that's about it.
Okay, and James, do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right for you to make your move?
You know what? Not really. We have met a couple of realtors, and you know, we've got some friends of friends that have a realtor that they've recommended and stuff like that. But we're just not there yet. We're not really spending time. You know, we've been to some open houses, we've called on some properties, but you know, we haven't been in anybody's car. Put it that way.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Okay, so I guess you're at the information gathering stage. James, what I'd like to do is email you daily updates of homes that might match your home buying criteria, and that list will include foreclosures, distress sales, and all of the listings that are on the MLS system. It's free, and you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Yeah, that's what you say I'm going to get in the next 2-3 hours here?
No, I'm sending you a snapshot in the next 2 to 3 hours that will just show you all the distress sales and foreclosures. What I'm offering you is a daily update of homes that match your home buying criteria.
Okay, let me just stop you right there.
Yep.
Jim, do you see how important it is that you differentiate what you're offering now from what you told me you're going to be sending me?
Right, and I followed the script, so I thought the daily update...
But do you see how important it is to emphasize, like, that,
okay,
like, all the words in the script are the same size, the type is the same, and that might indicate to you that every word is of equal importance. But you see now that it isn't, right? That it is absolutely critical that I understand that a daily email of all the properties as they come on the market is different from what you've initially sent me. But when you read the script and you treat it like everything's just equal, it's very easy for me, the prospect, to simply hear this. I have a free list that I'm going to send you that is properties on the MLS. And to me, I'm thinking, well, yeah, that's what I want. That's what you told me you're sending me. I'm looking forward to getting that in the next 2-3 hours. So bear that in mind, and this is the difference between when you've mastered the script. When you master the script, that's when the light bulb goes off and you say, wait a minute, I get it. What I've initially sent them is what's on the market. What I'm proposing to send them is what's coming on the market. That's the difference.
All right.
Okay, so
let's try again.
And one other thing as well. You said what I'd like to do. And here's the truth. I'm the prospect. I don't care what you'd like to do. I care what I want to do. So I just want you to rephrase it a little bit. All you're going to say is, would you like me to?
Okay. I've done it in bullet form, so I'm sort of filling in my own words.
Oh, by the way, that is the best way to do this. Yeah, because then you're most comfortable, right? The reason is now you're going to be able to say it in Jim language, the way Jim speaks, which is going to make all the difference. As long as you're saying the right things, then it'll be 10 times more natural if you speak the way Jim speaks versus, the way Craig speaks, for example.
Right.
Okay, so I say to you, yeah, that would be great. That's exactly what we're looking for. We want to know about all the great deals that come on the market. If you can email those to me, that'd be sweet.
Okay, James. Well, I'm wondering if we can get together for about 20 minutes. Let me rephrase that. James, when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for?
Well, I mean, we could probably do it on the weekend. If you have time, I could tell you right now.
Well, rather than emailing you hundreds of listings that may or may not match your criteria, or more importantly, missing the perfect one, we can get together for about 20 minutes. So I have a form that I fill out, and I can take down exactly what you're looking for. So,
okay. And is there any cost to this? I mean, we're pretty early in the process here, so I don't want you to feel like we're not interested in spending any money or getting ahead of ourselves.
And James, there's absolutely no cost or obligation to you whatsoever. So when would be a good time for you to get together? Are evenings or afternoons better for you?
Yeah, probably sometime Saturday afternoon would be best.
Okay, Saturday afternoon around 2. Does that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. I'll send you I'll email you the info for how to get to my office, and I'll see you Saturday afternoon at 2.
Perfect. Okay, now Jim, even though you told me when you introduced the offer that it's free and there's no obligation, when you handle my objection, I want you to reiterate again. Remember, it's free. There's no obligation. Okay, so you say to me, look, you know what? You could be receiving properties for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Who knows how long? I don't want to send you hundreds of properties that don't match what you want or miss out on the perfect property. When can you get together with me, spend 15, 20 minutes, do a really good job of what you're looking for? That way I can be assured I'm only sending you the right properties. And remember, it's free. You're never obligated to buy a home. And I'm flexible. What time this weekend would be good for you?
Right.
Right? Like even though you're thinking, well, I already told them it's free. That doesn't matter. You told me a lot of things. Like, you're bombarding me with information right now. I'm not absorbing everything you're telling me. So, right. And that's a biggie. If the prospect feels, one of the questions that keeps coming up is no-shows. If the prospect feels like you're going to charge me money, on Saturday afternoon, my wife is going to say to me, we're not going to that appointment. We're not ready yet. James, we're not ready yet. You know what? I don't want to spend any money on this just yet. Let's just keep looking online, and let's just keep going to the open houses and keeping our eyes peeled ourselves.
Right.
If I feel like there's a cost or obligation attached to this, I'm not going to show up. So you need to make sure that you emphasize that. I also really like, Jim, how you caught yourself.
Yeah.
And you said, wait, let me rephrase that. When can we get together?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, when the dentist office calls us every 6 months to book our appointment, they don't say, now, I would really love it if we could have you come in. No, it's like, it's assumed, you know? Listen, we're booking for next week. That's the deal. So we have to be a little more like, this is how we do it. And the prospect, okay, well, this is how we do it. Okay, great. Yeah, we'll book an appointment. So really good job, Jim. That was absolutely excellent. I'll give you a 9 out of 10.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, Andrea, let's take one more for today, and then we'll wrap it up until tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Our final role play is Jeff Kim. Your telephone line is now open.
Hi, James.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. What would you like to do today?
I'm going to do a response to a classified ad of first-time home buyers. Why rent when you can own with like a monthly price? So that type of ad.
Okay. So good. So ring. Hello.
Hello. Is Mr. McDonald there?
Yeah. This is James. Who's this?
Hi, James. This is Jeff Kim with Quality First Real Estate, and the reason why I'm calling is because I received your request for the information you wanted regarding a home list, and want to let you know that I sent that to you in an email. Is that okay?
Yeah, I did get that. Thanks, Jeff.
Perfect. Well, are you folks planning to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
We're hoping to. We're just we got a lot that we're trying to get organized here, but yeah, I mean we're certainly hoping to. We're paying rent right now, and we're at the point now where we know where we want to live, so we're just in the initial stages.
Absolutely. So I believe that you said that you're going to planning to stay in the area then. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are. We definitely want to stay in this area. It's a matter of what sort of what we can afford, and then where in the area that is. So that's sort of where we're at right now.
Okay. Absolutely. And if you were to move, when exactly do you think that would be? I know that there's a lot going on right now, but is there an ideal time?
Well, I mean, we're hoping that we can find something, this month being May. We're certainly hoping that we can find something, and if the right property comes available and our financing comes through, then yeah, this is sort of what we're hoping. But we're not going to buy something that isn't what we want.
Absolutely. And do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
No, not really. I mean, we've called on some properties and asked some questions about properties, and sometimes the agent calls us back, and sometimes they don't. And but no, I mean, no one in particular.
Okay. Would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all real estate companies? Our list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, and other distress sales. It's a free service, and of course, you're not obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you? Yeah. No, this is what we do. We've been going online. We pretty much go online every day to 3-4 different websites, and and some of them we got it set up so that when a property comes on that website, it emails it to us or it alerts us.
which is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if these are the same properties as I'm getting already, but I guess it wouldn't hurt. I mean, we definitely want to know about everything.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what our list would provide. When can we get together for about 20 minutes so I could really take down exactly what you're looking for?
I'm not sure we're ready for that quite yet. You know, maybe I can talk to my wife and we can call you back, or you can call me back, and maybe we can do that sometime in the near future. Sure. Well, I know that since you said that you want to move probably within the next month, if we take that 20 minutes, I definitely think that it would definitely save us a lot of time rather than later on, because okay,
well, rather
stop.
than you
Stop. Okay, this is okay. Here's what I'm doing. I'm afraid of cost and obligation. That's all this is. This is all about cost and obligation. So you are focused on meeting with me, but what I'm scared of is cost and obligation. All you have to do is make it very, very clear that you do not need to be afraid of cost or obligation. You don't, because there is no cost to this whatsoever, and you're never, ever obligated to buy a home. But if you are planning on buying a home this week or this month, then you need to be aware of the best properties the second they come on the market. And I can do that for you free without any obligation to buy anything. I just need to know what you're looking for. So I'm flexible. When have you got 20 minutes? There's no cost. Leave your wallet in the car. Don't overcomplicate it by all I need to know as the prospect is you're a salesperson and I'm afraid that you're going to charge me money or obligate me in an uncomfortable way. You've got to make sure that I understand that that is not a reason to push back. That's all I was looking for there. So I want you to go back and listen to our role play. And what you'll find is this: you're doing an awesome job of explaining the benefit. All you have to do is a better job of removing the risk associated with me getting that benefit. And
yeah, I think
you can't do it enough.
Yeah, I wanted to just follow the script and say, like, well, rather than email you hundreds of homes, but the way you answered that question, I didn't think like that would be good to say. And then
no, this is my pushback. My pushback was completely about cost or obligation. And here's what you might be thinking, but I said it. But I said it earlier on. Yeah, but remember, the prospect is hearing. They're trying to process everything that you're saying right here, and they're not hearing it all. Would it be difficult to reiterate what arguably would be one of the most important factors for the prospect to understand? No cost to this at all, never obligated to buy a home. Would that be an important point? If there's one thing that the prospect needs to know for sure, would that be one of the most important things? And I'd say, yeah, it would be absolutely one of the most important things, that they absolutely know that in no way does this appointment obligate them to buy a home or cost them any money whatsoever. So if we understand that's important and you're handling that objection, because remember, I threw out an objection. I said, well, you know what, let me call you back. I'll speak to my wife. All you want to do, immediately your brain is going to say this: you know what? This guy thinks that I'm going to charge him money. That's what you're thinking. You're thinking, he gets it. He knows the benefit of this, but they think I'm going to charge him money. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with this. Look, you're looking for properties right now. It's critical that you find out about them immediately upon coming on the market. There is absolutely no cost to this whatsoever. Do not bring your wallet or checkbook, and you're never obligated to buy a home. And I'm flexible. So if we tentatively schedule a time and it doesn't work out with your wife, we can reschedule it. But when would be a good time for us to get together? 15 or 20 minutes, do an excellent job of figuring out what you're looking for. No cost, no obligation to buy anything. What would be good for you? Days, evenings, something this weekend? You'll book the appointment every time.
Okay.
Okay, so just bear those little things. See, where you're at right now with the script, Jeff, is that the fundamentals of the script are solid. You got it. It's the tiny little details now that we're working on. That's it. That's all we're talking about. Because when we're on the phone, all we have are the words that come out of our mouth. And every word that we use paints a picture in the prospect's head. And we just want to make sure that we're painting the perfect picture. And a huge element of that picture is cost and obligation. as especially with a first-time buyer. They've never done this before. They don't know how this works, right? And they could think, well, yeah, I mean, if I meet with a realtor, they're going to charge me money, and I'm not ready for that just yet. Yeah. So you cannot go far enough in making sure that that's a non-factor. The upside of a first-time buyer is they've never done this before. So when you say, yeah, we're going to meet, they don't know, yeah, that's what you do. They don't know that makes sense. That's what I do. We meet. If I'm hiring an attorney, the attorney says, okay, we need to meet. I don't say, well, I don't want to meet. It's like, yeah, no, we're going to meet. That's how it works. There will be no pushback on that. But
I definitely
really
think
good job.
What you said is there's no bolded words, every word is important. So
right.
I pretty much have the script down, but then it's sort of hard to make sure you want to hit all those words.
Right.
But then if there's an objection, to listen perfect. And then to adjust what you're going to say based on what they say, but then you still want to hit every point. I think that's
right.
the hardest part.
And I think, and that's exactly why we do these webinars every Thursday, is because when you read the script, exactly what you're saying is true. Every word in the script is of equal size. Nothing's bolded. So reading it, that means everything is equally as important, and it isn't. Cost and obligation is huge. It should be in gigantic font, a huge typeset, because it's far more important. Would you like to receive daily emails? Daily should be enormous. It is of enormous importance that it's daily, right? But it's not. The way it's written in the script, everything's the same size. As we reach mastery level through practicing, what you start to realize is, hey, wait a minute. When I really emphasize these things in the script, the prospect seems to get it. And when they get it, they tend to book appointments with me. So, and this is exactly what you're figuring out as you go along here as well, Jeff, as is everyone else. So I'm glad you brought that up, and that's called normal.
All right. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. And Andrea, thanks so much for your help. We'll talk to everybody today. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow, same time. It's our ad clinic session, our marketing session. So we're going to talk about generating the leads. I know it sounds backwards. Today we talked about converting them. Tomorrow we talk about generating them in the first place. But that's what we're going to do tomorrow. Make sure you participate, and we'll look forward to hearing from you bright and early tomorrow. Thanks so much for your help, Andrea.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a wonderful afternoon, and talk to you all in tomorrow's marketing clinic.